So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom not only brings about the end of Jason Momoa's run as Aquaman, probably, but also the end of the DCEU, or the Snyderverse, or as I like to affectionately call it, the shortened version, the collected group of DC movies released between 2013 and 2023, not including Joker or the Batman. Yeah, I know. Why didn't they just go with that? Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? So just so you know, there's going to be spoilers in this video, but honestly, like, the movie's been out a while now. I know I'm a little bit behind with it, but honestly, I think if you honestly gave a shit about this movie, you would have seen it already. So yeah, so you've only got yourselves to blame. So the plot of this movie is quite simple, really. You have Black Manta, who is out for revenge against Aquaman following the death of his father in the first movie, and he discovers the ancient and mythical Black Trident, and he's going to use that to basically bring about global warming, essentially. And and he's going to kill Aquaman with it. And on the flip side of that, you have Arthur, who is balancing now being a father with also being the king of Atlantis, and he's not super into the kingly kind of duty stuff. But when Black Manta invades Atlantis and almost kills Mira, he's forced to then team up with his brother Orm and go on a quest to stop them. So very, very simply put, that is essentially the plot of the movie. And yeah, it doesn't exactly break new ground in terms of comic book movie storytelling or even just storytelling in general. It's nothing that we haven't seen a million times before. But it's very much an example of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. And I think it works, honestly. I think this is a really solid, fun sequel to the original Aquaman movie. And it's nice that, in this kind of modern age of everything having to be a massive franchise and, fucking Ant-Man's got a trilogy, out there. I'm glad that this is very much, I think in years to come, we'll look back on these movies as being a nice little 1-2 punch kind of little duology there. And they do very much serve as, part 1 and part 2 of this overall story. And yeah, I actually really like that about this movie. I think it does conclude Arthur's story very well. I'll be honest, there's some very cheesy dialogue in this movie and just some kind of moments that just kind of make you scratch your head a little bit. I did know that going into it. I will say, obviously, I did actually see this movie just after Christmas. I know we're now like end of January, I know. But look, I've been busy, all right? But yeah, there's some definitely some questionable moments in this. A sort of a main highlight and a good use of this cheesy dialogue is when Black Manta invades Atlantis. Standout line from him being him, and I quote, "I'm gonna go kill me a dead mermaid." What are you talking about, mate? If she's a dead mermaid, how are you gonna kill her? But you know what? I'll let him off because his costume is so awesome. So it looks amazing in the film. So yeah, that's cool. One other thing as well that I don't think it was supposed to be a funny thing, but it just kind of made me laugh. At the very start of the movie, that you get this little montage where Arthur's kind of narrating over it and basically kind of getting us up to speed with what he's been up to since we last saw him. And obviously, he's showing all the stuff about him with his son, and he has all these nice little moments between him, his son, and his dad. And there's this one bit where he's just doing like donuts on this bike in the dirt, and it just feels really out of place. And his dad's just like holding the baby, and they're just kind of watching him. And it's super. I don't know. It just looks really dorky. I don't know. It's difficult to explain, but I almost feel like it was like Warner Brothers kind of and James Wan were like, oh, we need to do some reshoots, but not everyone's really free to do them. So Jason, we're just going to give you a camera, and if you could just film yourself just doing day-to-day shit that you normally do, and then just send us the footage, that'd be great, mate. We'll stick it in the film. That's basically what that opening montage is. It's kind of just Jason Momoa being Jason Momoa, basically. And you know what? That is fine. I was totally cool with that, but it did make me laugh, albeit unintentionally. But yeah, as I say, this movie does really work, I think, overall. Kind of all the silliness aside, it wasn't actually really as silly as I thought it was going to be, to be honest. I really enjoyed the movie overall. As I say, I think it works as a good follow-up to the original movie. I think all the supporting cast are really good here. Obviously Patrick Wilson is always great as Orm. You've got Nicole Kidman as Queen Atlanta and Dolph Lundgren as King Nereus. Dolph Lundgren's in this film. Obviously, a big kind of question mark over this movie was how much is Amber Heard going to be in the film. after a fairly popular petition was launched by fans to have her removed completely from the film. I think Warner Brothers, I think in all fairness, they, under the circumstances and the controversy there, they removed her, I think, as much as they could do without affecting the story. And honestly, she's in like 10 minutes of the film. So if that's like a big issue for you, then I mean, she's like in like 10 minutes of the film. But a lot of the supporting cast are just kind of there, but they're all really fun, and they play their part. Randall Park as well was a nice, kind of addition to this movie, I thought, and I really liked his character and liked that how he clearly had some sort of a moral compass, and definitely more so than Black Manta. And I'd say Yahya Abdul-Mateen was, awesome in this movie, just as he was in the first one. As I say, I just think some of his dialogue let him down a little bit there. And there's one last little fuck you after their main battle. Black Manta is hanging off this cliff because the cave or the tomb that they're in is starting to crash and crumble around them. And so Black Manta's hanging from the the ledge. He's going to fall, and Aquaman holds out his hand to save him. And Black Manta's like, no way, fuck you, and he just drops and dies. But I guess a bit of a scapegoat for these characters having limited screen time is, they seemingly kill off Tamara Morrison's Tom Curry. So he's kind of sidelined for a lot of the film, and when Black Manta invades Atlantis, he badly injures Mira, so that's why she's kind of sidelined for most of the film as well. Another character I really liked, I forget his name, but it's like there's kind of the king or the ruler of the crab people. I know that's obviously not their species either, but yeah. So if you've seen the film, you know who I'm talking about. I really liked him. I thought he had some good lines, and there were some cool moments when they all kind of went into battle together. He definitely made me chuckle a few times. As I say, overall, this movie, it does work. I think it's a solid, entry in this Aquaman franchise. I say this little duology that James Wan has done, and I really do like Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I mean, is he cringy at times? Yes, absolutely. But does he look like he's enjoying himself? Hell yeah! He's having an absolute blast in this movie. I've seen a few people saying he looks like he's phoning it in. I don't think he's phoning it in at all. I think he's literally, appears to be a guy who's been given the role of a lifetime, and he is just absolutely milking it while he still can. Basically, he knows probably that this is the last time he's going to be playing the character, so he's just going out on a high note. And yeah, fair play to him. He's having a great time. I mean, watching him, you can't help but smile and just enjoy his enthusiasm. And it is really nice to see. And it's nice to see an actor playing a character and actually just look like they're having a good time. So many times we've seen, especially in comic book movies recently, when you have a lead character that just looks basically like they don't want to be there, and this is just another paycheck to them. So it's nice to see someone actually enjoying themselves. So yeah, is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom any good? Yeah, absolutely. Is it better than the first one? No, I don't think so. Should you go and watch it? Yeah. Well, actually, no, you can't, because I think it's finished now at the cinema. But, definitely stream it or buy it when it comes out. It's definitely worth a watch. Is it a good conclusion to the DCEU? No, I don't think it is. I think it's a nice end to Aquaman and Arthur's kind of arc and his story. But I still can't help but feel that the Flash should have ended the DCEU. That just feels like a much kind of much more satisfying conclusion to this universe. Obviously, it doesn't set up the DCEU, but I feel like Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, there's no real reference to any other characters, so it just kind of ends. It basically the movie ends with Aquaman basically kind of revealing Atlantis to the rest of the world, and them appearing, and they're going to obviously share their resources with the rest of the world, and everyone knows about Atlantis now, basically, and that's how it ends. And it would have almost been a really nice little kind of ending speech, but obviously he just couldn't help but get one more all right at the end there, and it's kind of like the very last bit is super cringe, I'm not gonna lie, but it's fun. It is what it is. As I said, the story doesn't do anything new in terms of giving us something that we haven't seen before, but the overall message is just one of family and valuing each other even if you have differences. And I really like the kind of the ending exchange between Orm and Arthur. I think that their chemistry in the movie, this kind of Orm being the straight man and Arthur being this kind of, you know, excited puppy most of the time. I think that works really well, and that's where a lot of the humour comes from in this film. And it's really nice to see their kind of dynamic change from the first movie, where obviously Orm, you know, Ocean Master was the villain, and now he's, you know, they team up together, and it's almost like a bit of a buddy cop thing going on. Another really great aspect to this movie is obviously all the locations and just like the look of the movie. If you're a fan of how like the first movie looks, you'll definitely enjoy this, and like all the underwater stuff looks amazing, and like the location stuff, you know, when, you know, Arthur and Orm are kind of traveling around, you get this, you know, kind of very much like more of that journey to the center of the earth, and like Indiana Jones kind of National Treasure type adventure movie stuff. Yeah, that's all great here as well, and just looks spectacular. So with that in mind, I am going to give Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom a solid, generous rating of 4 storms out of 5. So in conclusion, I would say the DCEU doesn't exactly go out with a bang with this movie, but it doesn't go out with a whimper either. It's more to me like if you imagine a drummer, or just anyone really, but just drummer seems like the right choice of words there. So they're carrying, imagine like a drummer carrying some cymbals, and they're walking down some steps, and they just like slip and they drop the cymbals, and they just kind of clatter and crash and things like that around him. It's like that. So whatever noise that is, like a wallop, I guess, it goes out with a wallop. Okay guys, thank you so much for checking this video out. If you did enjoy it, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe, blah blah blah. Don't forget to also check out mine and Harry's new podcast, where we'll be chatting kind of movies and movie news. We're going to be discussing the actual future of DC and the DCEU in the next episode of that. So we've got a best and worst of 2023, and also things we're looking forward to in this year, 2024. So those 2 episodes are both out now. Make sure you check those out. And until next time, guys, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day whenever you happen to be watching this, and I shall see you in the next video.